Homemade pizza in less than 30 minutes on a weeknight. I got my pizza setups, they're going in the freezer. Now I've got 4 pizzas that I can have in less than 30 minutes and it's a fraction of the price. Let me show you how to do it. We're doing pizza setups. Start with 2 cups of warm water. You don't want it to be too hot. You can use a thermometer. You want it to be 105 to 110. If you go over 110, you'll kill the yeast. Then I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons of sugar. I'm gonna mix the sugar until it's dissolved. Now 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. I'm gonna give that a little mix. Let that sit for 5 minutes until it starts to bubble. Yeast is activated and bubbling. I'm gonna start my flour. I alternate between bread flour and all-purpose flour. I'm gonna go 1 cup at a time. Cup number 2. After that second cup, I add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Cup number 3. I'm gonna end up making this twice. I don't like to double this because then it's too hard to stir. This will give you 2 pizzas, but when I double it, I'm gonna get 4 pizzas. Cup number 4. I got a wooden spoon. I'm gonna use the handle end to start stirring this. Now I got that 5th cup. I'm gonna add a little at a time. I might not end up using all of it. I'm going to look at the dough when it starts pulling away from the sides of the bowl, then I know it's done. So I'm gonna do a little bit at a time, and this is getting a little harder to stir each time. All right, I'm gonna show you this. It's pulling away from the sides of the bowl there. Do you see that? I'm not gonna add any more flour. So I didn't end up adding all of it. I end up adding about 4 1/3 cups to this. So I like to dampen a towel. I'm gonna throw it on the top, and then I'm going to place it in the oven. I'm not turning the oven on, but I'm gonna place it in the oven. I'm gonna show you another trick that I learned with making sure that this rises. Here's the trick. I got the dough, it's going in the oven that I'm not turning on. Some water on the stove, it's boiling. I'm going to place it in the oven with that dough, and that steam and heat is gonna help it rise. Time for the sauce. I use a large can of crushed tomatoes and a tomato paste. Then I do not measure any of this. I go oregano, basil, and I do more basil than oregano. Sugar, granulated garlic, and salt. Then I mix it up and taste it and see what else I need. All right, now I cover this. I put it in the fridge for a few hours so flavors all kind of marinate together. And then I'll taste it when it comes out. If it needs a little more sugar, if it needs a little more salt, if it needs a little more garlic, I add it in then. It's been about 2 hours. I'm gonna take this towel off and then I'm just going to punch this down. I'm gonna cover it with the towel and put it back in the oven for another rise. I want another hour on my dough. I'm gonna sprinkle some flour on my countertop. Just gonna do a quick knead to get the air out. Form it into a nice ball. Use a knife to cut it into 2 equal pieces. I'm gonna do the same thing with the second batch we made. We're doing 4 pizzas. Add some flour. Start rolling it out. I've got a greased cookie sheet I'm gonna put this down on. Just gonna fold it in half, like this. And I'm gonna come and lay this down. I got my oven at 450. I'm gonna throw it in 7 minutes. Then I'm gonna take it out and flip it for a few more minutes. I'll show you that in a second. It's been 7 minutes. I'm gonna give this a flip. I'm gonna cook for about 2 more minutes on the other side. All right, I went exactly 2 minutes. I'm gonna take it off and let it cool on a wire rack. Now that those are cooled, I'm gonna take my kitchen scissors and I'm going to cut it in half. You're gonna need these. These are 2.5 gallon storage slider bags. This is why I cut them in half, so they fit in the bag. Believe me, I've tried to fit these halves in a gallon Ziploc, they don't work. So then I'm just gonna start stacking them in there. Beautiful. I got my sauce, it's been chilling in the fridge. I'm gonna evenly distribute it to each of these containers so I can freeze it for later use. I got my pizza setups, they're going in the freezer. Now I've got 4 pizzas that I can have in less than 30 minutes and it's a fraction of the price and so much better. These are gonna be delicious. This dough is amazing. Okay, so then what you do is take them out of the freezer in the morning, the night that you want them. Fast forward, I got my thawed pizza crust from the morning. I'm gonna put them down on my grease pan. My oven's preheated to 425. My sauce is going down. I've got some pepperoni that I cut up that took me about 2 minutes. I'm gonna go 3/4 pepperoni, 1/4 cheese. Now I'm going down with the cheese. I bought the stuff that's already shredded. It's a weeknight. We're trying to save time. We just got home from work. All right, I used the whole bag for that pizza. This is for aesthetics. Just sprinkle some oregano on top so it looks nice. Don't have to do this, but we love Romano cheese here. I'm gonna sprinkle a little on top of it. I'm gonna pop this in the oven at 425. I'm gonna check it after 15 minutes. That pizza literally took me about 4 minutes to assemble. Pizza's out of the oven. Check it out. I end up going 20 minutes. Make sure that you put it on the top rack because we already part cooked the crust. We don't want them getting too dark. All right, I'm gonna lift each half and put it on the cutting board. Serving for two. Just kidding, I'm gonna cut this out. We're going square, I'm from Chicago. We got 24 square pieces. Homemade pizza in less than 30 minutes on a weeknight.